Time has passed so fast. We're already at the halfway point of the season. That's just absolutely crazy. But, I was thinking about changing it up a little bit today and, reviewing the first half of the season and, grading each player and seeing how each player has done so far through 41 games. So how I'm going to do this is I'm going to start with the big four, Crosby, Malkin, Kessel, Letang. Get them out of the way first because they're the biggest names and I'm going to have the most to say about them. Get them out of the way first. And then we're going to get into number order. So I'm going to start with 1, 2, 3 after Crosby, Malkin, Kessel, Letang. So let's get right into it. Let's start with the captain himself, Sidney Crosby. I give him an A+, and I don't think anyone's disagreeing with that. Sidney Crosby's been the MVP of this team, and at this point of the season, he's usually, slowing down or, starting off slow. But this year, no, he just had that little, what was it, like 6 games where he was not scoring a goal. Then he had that game in Edmonton where he had that goal of the year candidate, and from there, he's been the best I've seen in years, and that's going to say, even when he was, winning the Cups, I've never seen Crosby in the season play like this. At this point of the season, he's carrying this team, especially when they were during their bad stretch in November. He was great in every single game. He's had very few bad games or mediocre games. He's been great in every single game. That's why I give him the A+. Next up, we have Evgeny Malkin, who I give an A- to. A lot may disagree with this A-, so already at the second one, I know someone's going to disagree, either thinking it's too high or too low, but, let me give my reasoning behind it. So I know a lot are going to disagree, and they're going to want Malkin's grade a little lower because, he has been, I'll say, inconsistent this year. He has had times where, at times he's looked lost. He is point per game, so like on paper he's doing great. But just watching him on the ice during the losing streak in November, we can all agree Malkin, he wasn't helping. He wasn't. He was part of the Penguins that were bad. Unlike Crosby, who when the Penguins were playing bad, Crosby was playing great, and that's why I gave him the A+. Malkin gets the A- because he is putting points, like he is, doing well, but he's not as consistent as we would like him to be, right? Obviously, he's not like the old Malkin, but obviously, there's no worry. There's no need to worry here. It's still Malkin. He's been good, but not great. So I think the A- is good for him. So we gave Crosby an A+. We gave Malkin an A-. Now we have Phil Kessel, and I put him right in the middle at an A because the way I look at it, he hasn't been as good as Crosby, but he also hasn't been as inconsistent as Malkin. Malkin has been, I think he's been good, but I think we can all agree he can be way better. I think Phil Kessel's been just a little bit better than Malkin, a little bit more consistent than Malkin, and he's also point per game too. So I think overall, all three of our stars are playing really well. And that's why I gave Phil Kessel the A. Now we move on to Kris Letang. And Kris Letang is the only one that I'm so confident in. So if you don't agree with this, you're the one who's wrong. This is the only one that I'll say this in because the rest, I may be wrong in some of them or not. There's no right or wrong answer. But you know what I mean. This one, if you disagree with this one, I have to say you're the one who's wrong. So I gave Kris Letang an A+. And I know there's someone who disagrees. And, I just called you wrong. So you're probably mad at that. But, I'm just saying because Kris Letang has been so good. Comparing to last year, he was so just inconsistent last year. This year, he's been so good. Behind Crosby, he's the MVP for this team. All right, now that we got the big four out of the way, I'm going to go with in order of number, like 1, 2, 3. But I'm also going to go a little bit quicker. I'm not going to spend a minute on each player or else we're going to be here for like 25 minutes. So I'm going to make it a little bit quicker. And like I said, we're going to go number 1, 2, 3 like that. So next up, number 1, Casey DeSmith. I gave him an A+. Again, remember, this is based off expectations. A lot thought he wasn't even going to make the team. A lot thought Tristan Jarry should have been the backup, including me at times. I thought during preseason, I thought, Tristan Jarry should be the backup, but Casey DeSmith has proved all of us wrong. He has, I believe, over a .920 save percentage. His numbers are among the best goalies in the NHL right now, and he hasn't just played backup numbers. He's played when Murray got injured. He was, you could say, the MVP of during that stretch when Murray was injured because he was definitely the reason why the Penguins were winning games. As a backup goalie, like I said, this is based off expectation. He's done his job. That's why I give him an A+. He's done more than just his job, which is why I gave him an A+. I'm going to skip over Chad Ruhwedel because he's only played like 10 games, so it's not fair to give him a grade. So let's go over to Olli Maatta. So I gave Olli Maatta a B-. I know a lot are going to disagree with this one. You either think he's an A or an F. That's how it goes with Olli Maatta. You either think he's great or you think he's terrible, worst defenseman in the NHL. But the reality is he's not that bad, right? He makes mistakes, yes. He's slow, yes. But he is underrated. He makes plays, good defensive plays. He's a smart defenseman. He is slow. If he was faster, he'd be one of the, I wouldn't say one of the best, but he would be a really good defenseman. And I think, I gave him a B- because he's not been the greatest this season, but he's not been terrible. I think B- is fair. He's been good. Schultz has been injured. He's taken up a lot of those minutes. He's been playing 20 minutes a night, and he's been giving the Penguins decent hockey. A lot of people just like to single out Olimata when he makes bad plays, but he does make good plays. And I know a lot may disagree, but put your thoughts in the comments. B-, do you agree? Do you disagree? That's what the comments are there for. So yeah. Next up, we have Jamie Oleksiak, and like I said, based off of expectations, Oleksiak exceeded his expectations, which is why I gave him an A-. He's actually having, if anything, his best season so far offensively. Defensively, he's been kind of not weak, but mediocre. But he's been, when he's healthy, I know he's injured right now, but when he's healthy, he's been a top 4 defenseman on the Penguins every single game, which is why I think he's exceeded his expectations, which is why I don't give him an A+ or an A, but I'll give him an A-. He deserves it. Next up, we have Matt Cullen. I gave Matt Cullen a C. I know I'm getting the hate right there, but it just, I know we have the nostalgic feeling, he's team dad, we love everything he's given to us, the 2 cups, yes, but you gotta just forget about all that and look at him as a player, not as the team dad. He's 42 years old. He's not what he used to be, right? But I will give him credit. He's been better as of late. In the beginning of the season, if I did this, I would have given him like a D, maybe even an F. Okay, calm down. But he's been better as of late, which is why I bumped it up to a C. He's not what he used to be, but, he's doing good on faceoffs. He's a good penalty killer. Next up, Brian Dumoulin. I gave Brian Dumoulin an A+. Just like Kris Letang, that pair has been great all year. Dumoulin's been consistent his whole career. I haven't seen Dumoulin have a bad moment. Okay, I'm sure he's had bad moments, but you know what I mean. Like, he's always been great. He doesn't get injured much. He's just, you know what you're getting from Brian Dumoulin. When Dumoulin is on the ice, I'm comfortable. I know Dumoulin isn't going to do anything stupid. He's going to make the smart play. And again, in Schultz's absence, him and Letang have been great. MVP, defensive pairing right there. I think if Letang gets an A+, I definitely think Dumoulin deserves the A+. Next up, I have Dominic Simon. I gave Simon an A, and I know a lot are going to hate on this one too, because a lot of people like to hate on Simon. But honestly, I was going to give Simon a B, maybe a B-, maybe even a C. But I was looking through his stats, and not only his points, but his advanced stats and everything, the Corsi and, shots for, shots against, all that stuff, right? And he's actually one of the better guys on the Penguins in, shots for, to shots against, Corsi, all those advanced numbers, defensive numbers. And then you look at his points, he's putting up half a point per game. A year ago, a lot of people hated him. And I'm going to agree, he wasn't the greatest a year ago, but he's definitely improved this year. He's been a top 6 winger for the Penguins this year, and he's done a good job at it. So I think Dominic Simon deserves an A for that. Next up, we have Tanner Pearson, and I gave Tanner Pearson a B. And keep in mind, I just graded him off of his time with the Penguins, not his time with the Kings, because if I did his time with the Kings, he'd be closer to like a D, because he was really bad with the Kings. That whole team was just terrible in the beginning. But right now, with the Penguins, I'm going to give him a B. He has kind of slowed down. He started off great, but he hasn't been bad, I don't think. He still has a good shot. When I'm noticing him, he's always doing something good, always putting the puck on net. He's scoring some goals. Still needs time to adjust with the team. He adjusted pretty quick, so I think a B is good. Maybe you could argue he could be a B-, but I say B. You can disagree. Put it in the comments. Next up, we have Riley Sheahan. I gave Sheahan a C. Could have even went lower, but again, like Simon, I checked his advanced stats, and Simon's were good. Sheahan's weren't so good. He's on the bottom of the list on most, Corsi and all that, shots for, shots against, all those stats. I mean, I could sit here and name them all, but it will take too long. I was looking through them briefly, and Sheahan's name is near the bottom in almost all of them. And points-wise, he's not doing that great. And I know it's not all about points, but again, his job is to be a defensive center. His defensive numbers aren't the greatest, and it's not just a plus minus. You get, like I said, look at these advanced stats. His name, and I was kind of surprised that his name was near the bottom, but I do think he's playing a little bit better. So again, I'm going to do another video of this at the end of the year. He may jump to a B+, maybe an A, who knows, because last year he definitely had a really good second half to the season. Next up, we have Brian Rust. I gave Brian Rust a B- because Brian Rust has been, I guess you could say, on a roller coaster season. If I did this video a month ago, he'd probably have an F. That's crazy, right? Or a D- at least. But if starting it from December, he's been an A+. So you take his really bad score and his really good score, you average it out. I have a B- because he's been great as of late. And honestly, when he wasn't scoring, he wasn't terrible. He just had no luck. He had no luck on his side. And when he's been killing it now and he's been scoring, it just all that's changed is the luck is finally on his side. So you average it out, I'm going to give him a B-. Next up, we have Derek Brassard, and get ready for this one. This is going to have some controversy. I gave Brassard a D. That's right. That's the lowest I have so far on the list. Brassard is a D. Again, he has been bad, so I know a lot may agree with that. But again, it's based off expectations. And, you know, we gave up so much to get him. And I was one of the ones who was like, he's going to do great here. Coming into the season, I was calling he's going to get 20, 25 goals, 50 points. I know that's crazy, but I was so high on Brassard coming into the season. Like I said, last year, I know I was totally fine what we gave up. I thought we underpaid for Brassard. I know I'm joking, but that's how much I was okay with having Brassard because he's an elite third-line center, but it just hasn't worked out. I don't know why or how, but like I said, I still have confidence in Brassard to turn this around because he's a great player. But for right now, based off what we gave up, you know, expectations, you know, he's not, I mean, he scored last night, good for him, but he's just not been, you know, he hasn't lived up to the expectations. So for that, I'm giving him a D. Next up, we have newly acquired Penguin, Marcus Pettersson. I gave Pettersson an A. I was this close to giving him an A+. I did give him an A+ until I relooked at the list, and I'm like, you know what, maybe an A+ is too much. I deleted the plus, and I just kept that as an A. So the reason why I say this is because he's been playing with Jack Johnson, and right, everyone who's played with Jack Johnson so far this year has been playing terrible. And this is not an opinion. This is me looking at the advanced stats. Everyone who's played with Jack Johnson, their numbers are worse than when they're playing with anyone else. So the fact that Pettersson coming in, getting to know the new system, was put with Jack Johnson from the beginning, didn't get a chance to play with Kris Letang or anyone else. He's playing with Jack Johnson from the beginning. So I was instantly saying, you know, why are we doing this? Because he might play bad and everyone's going to think he's terrible, but that's because he's playing with a bad partner. But he's not only played well with Jack Johnson, he's made Jack Johnson look better than he was in the beginning of the year. With that pairing is pretty good with Pettersson. So he can easily get an A+, but I'm like, yo, let's chill. I'm going to give him an A because, again, based off expectation, he's been one of our best defensemen since coming over. And magically, we started winning all these games when he started to come over. So I don't know, is it coincidence or is Pettersson actually this good? Next up, we have Matt Murray, and I gave Murray a B-. And just like Brian Rust, he started, you know, really bad, and right now he's playing really, really good. You know, 7-0 since coming back from his injury, .955 save percentage, 2 shutouts since coming back from his injury. He's playing like the best goalie in the NHL right now since returning from his injury. He's absolutely insane, but like just like Rust, he started off like at an F, and right now he's an A+. You know, you average it to a B-. And I definitely think, you know, when I do this video at the end of the year, he's definitely going to be somewhere in the A's if he continues to play like this. Next up, we have Grant. I'm going to give Derek Grant a B. Just like a lot of these other players, I was going to give him maybe like a C or something worse. But I looked at his stats, and I'm like, you know what? He's surprisingly not bad. And again, based off of expectations, he's a perfect fourth-line center, 13th forward. You know, in case an injury comes to one of the centers, he can get the job done. He kills penalties. His defensive stats weren't terrible. He's getting the job done in his own zone, and he's put up, you know, offensively he's not terrible. He's put up quite a bit of points for a defensive-minded player. So you know what? I think a B is fair for a guy like Derek Grant. Next up, we have Zach Aston Reese, and I gave Aston Reese a B-. Coming from college, he was one of the top college free agents. The Penguins managed to sign him, but from there, he's never really, you know, taking control in the NHL. He was playing great last year, but, you know, Tom Wilson ruined that for him single-handedly. Cost him a spot in the lineup this year. He started in the AHL. He just started off to a slow start, and right now he's playing good. You know, I think, but he's not lived up to what he should have been by now. So, you know, I think a B- is okay, but he's been playing great lately. So everyone's been playing great lately. That's why the Penguins were on that huge winning streak. So right now I'm giving him a B-, but like everyone else, I think he can get better and maybe be somewhere like a B+, an A- towards the end of the year. Next up, we have Juuso Riikola, and I gave Riikola a B. Again, based off of expectations, I thought he's been great. You know, he's a 7th defenseman. He wasn't even supposed to make the NHL this year, and he made it from camp because he was so good. He played his first NHL game. I thought he was good in his first few games. Then kind of was invisible, or, you know, I guess you could say inconsistent. He wasn't playing bad, but he wasn't great. He was just 50-50. Then after that, you know, as of late, during this winning streak, as he was taking over for Oleksiak because of the injury, I thought Riikola has been great. Or just he's been good. He hasn't been putting up points, but he looks confident. Ever since scoring his first NHL goal, he looks confident. He's shooting the puck more with confidence. And even when he's not putting up points, he's creating chances. And that's all you can ask for your 7th defenseman. We're almost done here. We have our second last one here, Patrick Hornqvist. I gave Hornqvist an A. Patrick Hornqvist has been one of the most consistent players ever since coming over from that James Neal trade. He's everything the Penguins needed. One of the best moves I think the Penguins made, and a big part of those 2 cups. You know, he's, again, not known for his points. He's known for his grinding he does in the corners and in his front of the net work. He takes a beating, but he always goes back to the front of the net. And on top of it, he puts up points. So that's just like a plus to everything else that he does. So I think, he's got a lot of heart to this team, and that's heart that the Penguins were missing when James Neal was here, because James Neal was just another skilled player. The Penguins had too many skilled players. They needed a player like that, and that's why I think that's just one of the best moves Jim Rutherford has made. And finally, we have Jack Johnson. I gave Jack Johnson a D. I don't even know where to begin with him. I was one of the people that was, on his side coming into the season, because a lot of fans wrote him off before the season started. I was saying, give him a chance. Give him a chance. It might work out. $3.1 million is not terrible if it works out. And it just hasn't worked out. We're 41 games into the season now. We're halfway through. It's not going to get any better from now. And again, I just want to say that I don't have a problem with the contract at all. 5 years, I understand why Jim Rutherford did that. He's in a win-now period. His goal was to sign this contract. And even if Jack Johnson was playing well, it's still a bad contract. 31 years old for 5 years. But I never had a problem with the contract. Even now that we know he's kind of bad, I still don't have a problem with the contract. What I have a problem with is now that we have to waste that 3.1 cap hit on him. But with Jack Johnson here, I don't have a problem with the contract again, because I know he's going to leave when the expansion draft happens. Yes, we're going to have to give up a draft pick, but he's gone in 2 years. But again, my problem is the fact that we're in a win-now mode. I don't care what Jim Rutherford does and if it affects our long-term. I don't care. We're in a win-now mode, and it doesn't even help us to win now. It just hurts us for now and hurts us for the future, and you're going to have to give up probably a first-round pick to have Seattle take him, or give up a good player like maybe a Brian Rust to take Jack Johnson. I would love to sit here and give him an A+, but it's just the reality. I'm not hating on him. I would love for him to do good, but as of right now, it's a D. Hopefully he does get better, because if he does get better, at the end of the day, it's just helping us in the long term. That's going to wrap it up. This was really fun to do. Again, keep in mind, I'm going to do another one of these videos towards the end of the season, when the season's over. So it'd be fun to see how these players came back from their grades, because I'm definitely going to be bringing up the grades I gave in this video in my next video. So we'll see if anyone did worse or did better. So that's going to be fun at the end of the season. As for now, I'm going to go, leave a like if you enjoyed, comment your thoughts. Did you agree? Did you disagree? Share, do all that good stuff that the YouTubers usually say at the end of the video, and subscribe and do all that. And I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you for watching.